Hey everyone. So, my last video, I won the Craft Beer 5 miler, and first place means gift certificate. Gift certificate means chance at new shoes. And this is the Hoka Mach 6. As many of you know, you did click on the video. And I wasn't planning on getting this shoe after I got the Rebel V4, my New Balance, but it's been in my head. And I have plenty of race shoes, so I needed something that was a good daily trainer. So, lucky me, I've got the Mach 6. Hopefully I'll be able to do some A/B comparisons with this shoe. First impressions without taking it for a run. Very light for a trainer. Double gusseted tongue, which is always a good thing. I do like the elf heel on the back of it. It's a pretty structured heel counter. The elf heel makes for easy in and out. I like this new midsole material. It is a supercritical EVA rather than just a regular EVA, or rather than an EVA combined with PIBA like in the Mach X. One piece, I guess it's a jacquard mesh upper, and I love this white colorway. It's super clean. And an outsole on it, unlike the Mach 5, which I did not have. So I can't wait to take this on some workouts and some base runs and some comparison runs. All right, that's my intro. What do you think, Con? Huh? What do you think? Yeah. Good morning. I'm doing my first run in the Hoka Mach 6 today, and it's going to be a ladder workout at the track with a little bit of a progressive road warm-up, so I can take it through the paces. I usually like to start with a good base run to get a feel for the shoe, but I'm doing my workout a little bit earlier this week since I am pacing the Charlotte Race Fest Half Marathon this weekend, and who knows, maybe I'll wear the Mach 6 for that too. After a progressive warm-up, I'm going to be doing standard ladder, 1600, 1200, 800, 400, 200, and then a set of strides. The 1600 will be kind of a 10K pace, working the paces all the way down so that the 400 is more at a 3K or VO2 max pace. The 200 will be kind of a mile race pace, and then the strides will be strides. So yeah. All right, so I'm done with the ladder workout, and I forget how sneaky hard it can be. It's the first real warm workout of the season. It's about 65 degrees Fahrenheit and 90% humidity, relative humidity right now. Yeah, first impressions, Hoka Mach 6. Felt great on the road, especially during the progressive warm-up where I kind of cranked the paces down to more of a fast, easy before I drop into the reps. On the track, it felt decent, at least for the 1600. Once I started cranking down to those faster paces, 1200, 800, 400, it felt like a little bit much of a shoe, which, that tracks because it's really more of a fast daily trainer than a workout shoe, and I usually do track workouts with racing flats. So it's a bit much of a shoe for that, but I need to put some base runs in it and do some comparisons before I do a real shoe talk. All right, I'm gonna take the Hoka Mach 6 for another run. This one's gonna be on the treadmill. I'm gonna do a shoe off here. I've got a lot of shoes arrayed here. Of course, I'm gonna move those in a minute, and I'm gonna try not to show you the rest of my garage because it is a total mess right now. But anyway, this is the guy that I'm gonna be comparing with everything else here, with the Brooks Hyperion Max, the Adidas Adizero Boston 12, the Saucony Endorphin Speed 3, the New Balance Rebel V4, the Topo Cyclone 2, the Saucony Kinvara 14, and the Hoka Mach X. And there's kind of a mismatch here. Normally I don't think I would compare this shoe to the Boston or the Mach X. The Mach X because, this is the Mach 6, that's the Mach X, and you kind of want the plated version and the unplated version to see which you prefer. And if I'm going to do that, then I might as well try it with the Endorphin Speed and the Boston 12 as well, because, I think this is going to kind of fit into that, Swiss Army shoe category, or it could be a performance trainer used for many things. I think I am going to start with the Hyperion Max this time because I've ended the last few shoe-offs with the Hyperion Max, and both of these have a supercritical EVA midsole. So yeah, it sounds whatever. Okay. All right, so you can see I have all of my shoes laid out here, right next to me. I've got the treadmill going right now, and I think what I'm gonna do, oh, the reason I'm on the treadmill, by the way, it's raining outside, and I don't mind running in the rain. I kind of like it, actually. I just don't want to get 8 pairs of shoes wet today, especially since today is kind of an easy day. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have the treadmill set on 8-minute pace and just going continuously, and I'm gonna set the stopwatch on my phone, and I'm gonna run for 5 minutes in each shoe. So that's gonna be about 1 kilometer in each shoe, and that'll also kind of keep track of my whole distance, and I don't have to worry about starting it and stopping it, starting it and stopping it again. I am gonna start with just the Mach X for the first 5 minutes to kind of get warmed up, and before I get the taste of any of these other shoes on my feet. Okay, Brooks Hyperion Max, Hoka Mach 6. So I've said this before about the Brooks Hyperion Max and about DNA Flash in particular. It's a supercritical foam, but as far as supercritical foams go, it's on the firmer side, and the Hoka, whatever they're calling their supercritical foam in the Mach 6, is bouncier. However, thinking about yesterday's track workout and some of those faster reps, I think what I would have rather had the Hyperion Max on my foot, because although the Hoka is, you can kind of hear, listen to my steps. It's almost like the Hoka is bouncing more. But the Hyperion Max would have been better for turnover. The stack height is not all that different, but it feels lower to the ground and like it would interact with the track better. And it's lighter. Okay. All right, Boston 12 and Mach 6, your turn. Okay, so immediately on step in and on comparison, the difference in lockdown is huge. The Mach 6, it's not a particularly narrow shoe, and I don't have a particularly wide foot or narrow foot, but it does lock down nice and snug. So the Boston does not. None of the Adidas shoes I have are particularly strong on the lockdown. Midsole experience. So the Boston has Light Strike Pro on the top, TPEE, which is a super foam, and then Light Strike 2.0 on the bottom, which is an EVA compound, and of course those glass fiber rods in between, whereas the Mach 6 is just one slab of supercritical EVA. So when you have a super foam and an EVA carrier, it kind of tempers the super foam, which can be a good thing, but you might get a similar experience from just having a single layer of a supercritical foam. So I feel like the Mach 6 is just as bouncy and less tappy, and that might be because of the Boston's Continental rubber on the treadmill. Maybe we should test these outside in the rain. So it will be interesting when I bring out the Mach X along with the Mach 6, because that similar dual foam tempering effect with the plate versus the supercritical foam. Okay, the Mach 6 versus the Saucony Endorphin Speed 3. Here we go. So I would say you can't really feel the difference in the geometry of the shoes. I mean, that is at least if you wear them side by side. The Mach 6 has a 5mm heel to toe drop. The Endorphin Speed 3 has an 8mm heel to toe drop. And of all the things that are different with these shoes, that's kind of the first thing I noticed here. Lockdown was similar. Maybe the Hoka had a little bit more snug lockdown. The ride experience was a lot more similar than I figured they'd be. But that might be because I'm on a treadmill, and the treadmill itself has a little bit of give to it. Again, maybe I should have just gotten 8 pairs of shoes wet today. But they're both bouncier. The Mach X is kind of a stable bounce, and the Endorphin Speed has that Piba-esque bounce because it's a full Piba midsole. And since it's a plastic plate, not a carbon plate, you do get some of that flexibility. They feel like they have similar flexibilities. So again, one of these would be considered a super trainer, the other just kind of a lightweight performance trainer, but not everyone categorizes their shoes so much. It will be interesting to talk about these two in a use case scenario. New Balance Rebel V4 versus the Hoka Mach 6. And this is the matchup that a lot of people are doing, because these guys were released on the same day and kind of are targeting the same profile, I think. Let me set my timer. Siri, 5-minute timer. So it's hard to not notice how much lighter the Rebel V4 is. But it is a totally different ride experience. So while these might be kind of in the same category or subcategory, or however you want to think about them, totally different ride experience. The Rebel V4, that midsole gives with your footfall a little bit more. You could say it's a little more dynamic. I would say it's a little more compliant. That's what the doctors of running would call it, is compliant. Whereas the Hoka Mach 6 is a little more responsive. Both have a bouncy feel. Both have kind of a rockered profile. I think the New Balance, you roll off the rocker a little bit more. The Hoka, you think about the bounce a little bit more. Might use them for similar things, but if you want a different feel, we'll have to talk about that more later. All right, I've switched the Mach 6 over to my right foot for the back half of the shoes. And now the Topo Cyclone 2. I'm gonna start the timer first this time. Okay. It's getting muggy in here. I had to get rid of the shirt. Sorry, guys. So as you might expect, if you've seen other videos that had the Cyclone 2, the only things that are similar between the Mach 6 and the Cyclone 2 are that they each have a single density foam and they each have a 5mm drop. But the stack heights, the ride, the feel, the lockdown, totally different. Topo has that foot-shaped toe box. Hoka definitely does not. Again, that's not a bad thing if you like a snug lockdown, but different use case scenarios. I mainly brought the Topo out because I compared it with other shoes that I'm comparing this one with. And it's kind of performance-y. But yeah, short days or foot strengthening days, fast days, Topo, daily training, maybe some performance training, Mach 6. All right, Mach 6 versus Kinvara 14. You can tell I'm already sweating on the Kinvara there. So why the Kinvara 14 versus the Mach 6? You might remember Derek, he's been on the channel quite a bit during workouts. He was a big fan of the Mach 5, which I never tried. And I got him to try the Kinvara 14. He really liked it. He said they were comparable use cases. So putting them both on my feet, I can see why he would think that. That's similar, you know, simple performance trainer feel, single density midsole, decently snug lockdown. I think the Kinvara has a little more room, forward room in the toe box, but I do have to use the 7th eyelet to lock down the Kinvara in the heel. That's just maybe my foot shape. I don't have to do a runner's knot or anything, but both of these I think could handle base miles, but would not flinch if you wanted to pick up the pace. Mach 6 might be a little bit bouncier, but the Kinvara is a little bit lighter on foot. All right, last one, Hoka Mach 6 versus its cybernetic older brother, the Hoka Mach X. Timer started. All right, dual density, dual compound midsole with a plastic plate versus single density supercritical EVA, no plate. High tech, low tech. Other than that, the fits are pretty similar. The ride experience is different. The Mach X does feel heavier on foot, and on paper it's heavier too, just because there's more parts to it. The Mach 6 feels lighter. I would say it's just as bouncy, even though it's low tech, fewer moving parts, if you will. It's also a newer shoe. The Mach X probably has 100 miles on it, but still. Well, wanted to save some of it for the shoe talk, but I don't think I'll buy the Mach X again when the Mach 6 exists and it's cheaper and simpler. Yeah, the rest of these comparisons I will save for the shoe talk. Okay, let me try and squeeze in a quick shoe talk before I go on a run this morning and get to work. Hoka Mach 6 is what I've been running in and what I'm going to continue to run in for a while. That'll tell you what I think about it. It is, I mean, it's a good all-arounder. It's lightweight. It's got an energetic, supercritical EVA. Jack of all trades, master of none. Swiss Army shoe is the term I was throwing around earlier, and that's a good one. I think a lot of people are choosing to compare it to the New Balance Rebel V4, and these two check a lot of the same boxes as one another. Different run experiences. The New Balance is definitely lighter. It's also softer. They both got a good roll-off. This one's a little bit bouncier, so it's really gonna, as far as running in both of them, I enjoy both of them, and it's gonna really depend on like what mood I'm in that day as far as which one I want to run in. Both have decent outsole coverage, all you need for a lightweight daily trainer. Really, comparing this to some of the other shoes, especially if we're going to talk about Swiss Army shoes, I was bringing up the Saucony Endorphin Speed 3, which I didn't grab, and also the Boston 12 as all-arounder shoes. A lot of super trainers, you know, with a mix of, you know, super foams and, you know, plate-like structures or rod-like structures have become all-arounders in many people's rotations rather than the, you know, super training workout shoes that they were kind of intended to be. But I think shoes like the Hoka Mach X do a similar job with fewer moving parts, and in some ways they do a better job. The Hoka Mach X is a lot lighter than the Boston 12, and it feels like a shoe I want to run in more. I think the Boston still has it beat on the outsole, but it's hard to beat that Continental rubber, which really brings up this comparison, and I know I talked about this on the treadmill, the Hoka Mach 6 and the Hoka Mach X. The Mach X, like the Boston, is a little bit heavier than the Mach 6, and there's more moving parts to it. Yes, it's got this PIBA top layer of the midsole here, but this EVA, and it's not a supercritical EVA, it's just a regular compression molded EVA, really kind of nerfs that PIBA in this particular shoe. I know in the shoe that they have just released, you know, by the time that this video comes out, the Hoka Skyward X, they probably have that combination down where it's really bouncy and everything, and the EVA stabilizes without nerfing it, but that's also a $220 shoe. As far as these two shoes, the Mach X and the Mach 6, which are supposed to be kind of related, I don't really see the purpose for the Mach X anymore. And I wish I had kind of compared the Mach 5 to this before getting this when I did. Not that this is a bad shoe. None of the shoes I'm bringing up here are bad shoes. But, you know, as far as value, I think I can get everything that this does out of the Mach 6 without having to worry about, you know, a plastic plate or you know, carrying a little extra weight. Really, I dropped my shoe. The Mach 6, I think, kind of fits comfortably between these two shoes, the Saucony Kinvara 14 and the On Cloudsurfer 7. The Cloudsurfer 7 is a good, decently lightweight, comfortable daily trainer without anything special other than this cloud phase technology. And the Saucony Kinvara 14 is a very lightweight daily trainer that leans toward performance and also nothing special, just their Power Run EVA, which does the trick. Again, I would take this on base runs, especially if I wanted to pick up the pace, maybe a long run. It might beat me up after 20 miles, you know, same with the Rebel V4. There might be better things to take for 20 miles, and it may not be the best thing for recovery days, but for 80%, 75 to 80% of those runs, it's going to do what you need it to do just fine. As far as workouts, at least higher end workouts where I'm getting to that higher speed, and getting down into the mid to low 5-minute paces, or really anything faster than 6-minute pace for me, this could do it, but I would probably pick something more like the Brooks Hyperion Max for that, or a traditional racing flat like the Adidas Adios 8. And I would save the carbon-plated racers for either race day or the really long workouts or long run workouts. That being said, I've thrown a lot of shoes at you really quickly. The Mach 6 is a great all-arounder. It's a great Swiss Army shoe. What it has over the Rebel V4 is a more snug lockdown, and a lot of people really crave that lockdown. A lot of people who felt like there was too much room in the Rebel V4. I'm sure if you follow me, you also follow people like Tim Gross and Ed Budd and Andy Rayner, those people with those long feet that look like water skis, which, you know, have to really cinch this shoe tightly up. I think in my size, which is closer to a sample size, this works just fine, the Rebel V4, but I could see sometimes wanting a snugger lockdown like in the Mach 6. It's really kind of a set it and forget it shoe. In fact, I'm going to throw this on now. I've got a 12-mile run I'm doing this morning before work. So with that, I'm going to let you guys go. Thanks for making it this far. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ding the bell for notifications, and I'll see you on the next run.